And we're back for another week. Well, unfortunately, guys, I'm getting tired of the old-fashioned. As much fun as we've had over the past few weeks, going from gin to rum to brandy, it's time for something new. I know that we've really explored the who, what, where, when, and how of the old-fashioned. But today's the culmination. Today, we're going in. It's Whiskey Week. Let's go. Well, guys, the final chapter's here. We're finally done with the old-fashioned. I know you guys have watched tons of the other videos. Woo! Can't wait. I can tell. I've seen the views. What the Now, as you've learned over the past few weeks, the old-fashioned is the OG of the cocktail game. If this was an episode of Maury, he would be the dad.
You are the father!
I mean, we've covered gin, rum, brandy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to chapter 1 of this, volume 1. And we'll talk lots about it. And put it on repeat. Let's get some views out of this thing. Now bear with me for a minute. Let's think about the old-fashioned. Think about how good it is. It's really hard to think of something that's so simple, yet so complex, besides myself, that yields such a perfect concoction of every layer that you want to hit when you're drinking a cocktail. Now this week we're going to be doing 2 old fashions. I'm not going to bombard you with 50 old fashions for the last week to really blow it out. We're going to have 2. We're going to refer to the old school, regular old fashioned. We're going to make it with rye though. We're using our Alberta Premium that we've used in cocktails before. It's pretty hot. It comes in at a whopping 66%, so it's going to add a little bit of spice, a little bit of heat. Set your night up right. Along with that, we're going to use our 2-to-1 Demerara simple syrup and then some Angostura bitters, and maybe we'll throw some walnut bitters in there just because it seems to be the go-to bitters right now for any old fashions that you get. And then our second old fashioned is going to be an ode to a old fashioned that I had in London at the Vault. The Vault's a speakeasy underneath a whiskey shop called Milroy's of Soho. It's in Soho. Shocker, Captain Obvious. If you want to get to the Vault, you got to go through the store. I'm not going to tell you any more than that. But the adventure at the Vault lasted probably 5 or 6 of these old fashions until I finally got our waitress, who was great. She allowed us to get nice and there.
Whoa!
She finally told me what they do to make it, and I hadn't heard of it before, so I was intrigued. And then I Googled it, and I couldn't find anything on it. But what they do is they fat wash their bourbon with cocoa butter. Now, the bourbon that we're using today, just Buffalo Trace, but we've fat washed it with coconut oil. Now, fat washing is a super easy process. It basically just takes your liquor and then a fat of your choosing. If you're going to use a stronger flavored fat like bacon fat or duck fat, you're going to want to use less when you're doing it. But the way I stick to it is if you have a fifth of liquor, if it's strong flavored, bacon, duck fat, probably 4 ounces to a fifth. And if it's a more neutral flavored fat, you can do 8 ounces to a fifth. But yeah, it's that easy. You just take the solid fat. You have to get it down to a liquid. So if it's solid at room temperature, you obviously have to warm it up to get it to a liquid, and then you just add it to your liquor, shake it up a little bit, and throw it in the freezer. I usually wait a couple days before I take it out, but depending on the fat, if you're looking for mouthfeel, that creaminess that you're going to get from the fat, I would say a couple days works. If you're looking for more flavor, you can leave it in longer. Most recipes you'll find online tell you to do it for a week, but I find that like 3 days works. So for our old fashioned though, we're using our bourbon. We fat washed it with coconut oil, not cocoa butter. I didn't want the cloudiness that cocoa butter gives it. You can strain it out, but you don't have to. I want the liquid to have texture. I don't want to eat the texture, so if that makes sense.
Nailed it!
But anyways, we are going to just make an old fashioned with that, with our bourbon. Same Demerara simple syrup, some bitters, and we'll go on our way. Gonna make this quick. I realize that our videos have been turning into documentaries. They've gotten exceedingly longer, and maybe I talk too much, like I'm doing right now. So we are going to cut back on that and just get to the goodies. I know you have places to be, many people to see about many different things.
Slow down, Frankie, my son. Let him roam.
It's time for the cocktails. We're just gonna start building right in the mixing glass. So we're gonna throw 3 or 4 ice cubes in here just so we can chill our liquor as we go. Boom. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than this. So, as we've done before, simple syrup in first, just because that way we wash our cup out with our liquor. So, we're doing 10 mils of simple syrup. We're gonna do 60 mils of our rye. Like I said before, it's going to be 2 ounces and ½ an ounce of our simple syrup if you are doing ounces. So then air. Ooh, something got strong. A couple dashes, bing bang boom, of our Angostura. And like I said, I'm throwing a little bit of walnut in there too, just for fun times. If you want to know, that's my cap. I got a little hulky with the cap one night and snapped it. Then I lost the cap in the move, so oh. There we go. Bing. Big ice cube, which didn't freeze right and only has 7 sides instead of 8 corners. There we go. So there is our old fashioned, the old school way with rye. Then we're just going to garnish it with nice little wedge of orange, which will express over cocktail and around. Fell in love with the garnish from last week, so we're doing it again. There's the old fashioned, guys. An oldie but a goodie. I mean, if that doesn't spout out class, I don't know what does. A lot of orange in it now. You can't beat that. And actually, for this being so hot, the Demerara helps it out. A little bit of that ice, the tempered ice that's melting a little bit. The water. Super nice. Tasty. It almost makes me not want to make a second one. But don't worry, guys. I got you. On to number 2. Woo! Like I said before, this is an ode to one of my favorite old fashions in the world. From the Vault in London, aka the Speakeasy underneath Milroy's of Soho. It's in Soho. Number 2, I got it. All right, so let's build this. So back with our Demerara simple syrup. Once again, we're doing 10 mils. Then our fat washed bourbon. Coconut oil. And good. And I'm still learning how to count. We're good. So I decided on Angostura, and then I'm just gonna do a little chocolate, Mexican chocolate, so it'll give it a little bit of spice, but give it a little bit of chocolate on top too. Not too shabby. Now we just gotta put it in the glass and drink it. I've garnished this. I think we're gonna not do the orange this time, and we're just gonna do 2 cherries, because 2 is better than 1. And also, when I take photos, I can tell which is which. Woo! The coconut kind of like rounds off. Like, if you smell coconut oil, you get that coconut on top of it, but it has like a little roundness to it. That's what you're getting here. It's nice. So I was going for like a kind of Mounds, like Almond Joy Mounds kind of like character, and I'm getting it a lot. Granted, there's no nut in there or anything. I just realized what I just said. I didn't put walnut bitters in it, so smells really good. You guys should definitely try fat washing. It just adds like another like characteristic to it that you wouldn't normally get. Well, guys, hopefully you really enjoyed the little dive that we did into the old fashioned and the history and all of that stuff. Even the murder castle stuff from that weird one we did with Brandy in Wisconsin. H.H. Holmes, murder castle, acid baths, all that fun stuff. If you guys aren't enjoying old fashions, you should definitely try it. There's so many angles that you can take. I mean, we have our original, let's call it the original, with rye. That it's perfect. It's sweet, peppery, fruity. It hits a lot of notes. But you basically have the same cocktail here. We just messed with the bourbon. If you've never had an old fashioned, that's why I did this series. I wanted to introduce or reintroduce the old fashions to everybody. Granted, I know like there's a million videos out there and all that stuff, but come on, guys. There's a reason for that. It's a great cocktail. If you're not enjoying them now, order one the next time you go out. Ask them for a gin old fashioned. Say, hey, instead of whiskey, put gin in there. Just to explore. Maybe you'll show them something. Maybe they don't know that. But guys, if we're not here to explore new things, what are we here for? As always, like, comment, subscribe. Ooh, big word. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Then you get everything. Even if you don't want it. But guys, it's Friday. We got shit to do. Cheers. Enjoy your old fashions. Now as you cut action. Along with that, we're just going to use our 2-to-1 Demerara simple syrup. Blah. Along with that, we're going to use our 2-to-1 simple syrup made with Demerara. Cut needs to be the go nut bit or go nut cut in places. Cut. Ding ding. Besides me. That was a slow-mo. Definition of the term.